Hey, is this thing working? Is this thing on? I think it is. Good morning. Welcome to the Test 14 review. I'm giving you the keys to the kingdom here. Everything you need to be successful on the test. So let's check out this guy from lesson 49, the two-step story problem. John bought 2 bottles of pop for $1.29 each. If he paid for it with a $5 bill, how much change will he get back? Because it's a two-step story problem, you first got to realize that he's buying 2 bottles of pop, not for $1.29, $1.29 each. So your first step would have to be to find out what the total price is, $1.29 plus $1.29. Hopefully, if you add this up, you would realize that that is $2.58, right? That's your first step of this two-step story problem. Then it says if he paid for it with a $5 bill. So hopefully everybody here has ever bought stuff before, right? They ring up what you owe them. You give them money, and then they have to figure out how much change you get back. So you'd have to take that $5 and subtract $2.58 from it, right? Go ahead and do that. Can I start with 0 minus 8? No, I can't. Go to the neighbor, try to borrow. He's broke also. I have to go to the 5, borrow 1 there. He pays 1 to the neighbor, making him 10. Cross them out, he now has 9, and pay 1 to the last neighbor. You're not going to cross this guy out, right? 10 minus 8, hey, that gives us 2. 9 minus 5, that's going to give us 4. And lastly, 4 minus 2, hey, that is 2. So how much change does he get back? $2.42. Here we have one listing the factors of 12 that are also factors of 20. Remember, list all of the factors for both numbers. Circle the numbers that are factors of both, and then list those numbers in order from least to greatest. Whenever I'm listing factors, I like to start with the easy one. Always start with the 1. Otherwise, it's too easy to forget about them. He's an even number, so I know 2 can be a factor. 2 times 6. And if I use my divisibility rules, 1 plus 2 equals 3. So I know that 3 could be a factor, right? 3 times 4 will also give you 12. So let's go ahead and do the same thing over here on 20. I have 1 times 20. He is also an even number, so I know 2 can be a factor, so I'm going to go 2 times 10. And using my divisibility rules, he ends in 0, so 5 can be a factor, right? 5 times 4. So I think I have all my factors of 12 and all my factors of 20. Go ahead and circle the ones that are the same. I have 1s both there. I have 2s on both sides. I have 4s on both sides, right? And I believe that's all I have. So last step, put them in order from least to greatest. 1, 2, and 4 are all common factors of 12 and 20. All right, check out this one. Coming at us for both the combination of lesson 24 and lesson 63. We have some work in parentheses. And if you remember, we always want to do the work in parentheses first, right? And I don't know if I need to set this guy up horizontally or not. Let's take a look. 4 2/5 minus 1 1/5. I'm going to try to do this mentally. 2/5 minus 1/5 Well, that's going to leave me 1/5, won't it? And 4 minus 1, that's going to give us 3. But we do the work in parentheses first. Now we have to go and take this answer and subtract it from the whole number 7. And this is where I think our scratch paper does have to come into play, because I've seen too many people try to do these guys mentally and make one very critical mistake. So we're going to start off with the whole number 7 and subtract 3 and 1/5. So start over here on your fraction side. Can you start with nothing and take away 1/5? The answer there is no. So we got to go and borrow from the 7. Most of the time, if kids try doing this mentally, they forget about borrowing. So now I'm going to bring one whole into the fraction side, and I'm dealing in fifths. How many fifths equal a whole? Hopefully you know. That answer is 5. 5/5 is the one whole we borrowed. So now I can go ahead and subtract 5/5 minus 1/5. That's going to give us 4/5. And then on to the whole number side, it's just that easy. 6 minus 3 is going to give us 3, for a total answer of 3 and 4/5. Here we have a twofer. Name the shaded portion of the rectangle first as a fraction. Okay, well, it appears to me I have 10 rows of 10, right? So the total number of pieces I have here, 10 rows of 10 would be 100. How many are shaded? Because my numerator has to tell the shaded amount. 10, 20, 30, 40, and 3 more makes 43. So I have a fraction that says 43 hundredths. So now let's go ahead and write it as a decimal number, right? Let's plop over here and see if you remember. Hundredths is 2 places to the right of the decimals, right? And I always want to start a decimal number, even if I don't have a whole number, start it with a 0. So this says 43 hundredths as well. 4 tenths and 3 hundredths, 43 hundredths. One coming at us from lesson 67, write 23 hundredths as a decimal number. Well, same thing. I always want to start a decimal number, even if it doesn't have anything for a whole number. Start it with a 0. 23 hundredths, that would be 2 in the tenths place, 3 in the hundredths place. 23 hundredths, because the decimal places go tenths, hundredths, thousandths, right? Here we go, using digits to write the decimal number 12 and 1/10. Remember that word and, that's our signal for the decimal point. So on the left side, I have to write 12, the whole number 12. 1 in the 10 spot, 2 in the 1 spot. We've known how to write 12 since about first grade, right? 12 and, now I have to put 1 in the 10th spot. 12 and 1/10. For the test, don't be afraid of using your place value chart that you have in your book. Check out this guy. Which digit in 136 and 27 hundredths is in the hundredths spot? So if I put them all in there, 136 on my no-name side and 27 hundredths, which digit is in the hundredth spot? That's going to be The 7, right? Which digit is in the hundreds spot? That's the 1. Be really, really careful about reading the TH at the end of the numbers. Check out this guy. Find the length of the line segment below to the nearest tenth of a centimeter. The first thing I want to say about this is not a rounding problem. Some people see this word nearest and they want to round. Nope. What you have here, the numbers on the ruler are whole centimeters. And then you count the number of lines to determine how many tenths of a centimeter. Because if you notice, they're cut in to 10 little pieces. So, looks to me like this line's going all the way past the whole number 4. Here is 4 1/10, 4 2/10, 4 3/10, 4 4/10. But because it is metrics, write your answer as a decimal number. If you write this as a fraction, I'm going to have to mark it half wrong. So 4 4/10 of a centimeter. Just like that. Here we have to go and use digits to write as a decimal number. 18 and 1200ths. Remember, that word and means that's where the decimal point is, right? So on the left side, I got 18, 1/10, and 8 ones gives us 18, and 12 in the hundredths. 1/10, 2 in the hundredths, 12 hundredths. Estimate the product of 64 and 22 by rounding both numbers to the nearest 10 before multiplying. So 38, what do you think? Is that closer to 30 or closer to 40? Look to your neighbor to the right. If it's 5 or more, round them up. 38 is closest to 40. 21, is that going to be closest to 20 or closest to 30? Well, his neighbor to the right is way less than 5, right? So we're going to keep him as 20. So I have 20 times 40, or 40 times 20. And I'm going to go ahead and take a little shortcut here. How many zeros do I have in the problem? Hopefully you see 2, right? So it's 2 times 4. That's got to be 8. And we said there's 2 zeros in the problem. So you better make sure that you have 2 zeros in your answer. And your answer would be 800. Here we have to go and compare. Remember, when we're comparing decimal numbers, compare the whole number side first. Numbers to the left of the decimal point. So here I have a 0. Here I have a 0. So it's still a tie, right? Here I have 5 in the tens place. Here I have 0 in the tens place. 5 is greater than 0. Go ahead and compare the whole number side first. Here I have 5 in the whole numbers place. Here I have 55. We've been doing these problems since we were in first grade. What's bigger, 5 or 55? 55 is greater, right? So 5 and 55 hundredths is less than 55 and 5/10. Here I have to go and multiply it out. 136 times 250. My advice, I wouldn't even try to dangle the 0. I would just go and start multiplying it out. It is the easiest way. It takes about 3 seconds, right? And then you're done with it. Take a look at the next guy. When before I multiply by this 5, is not really 5. He is really 50. So put in 1 0, right? Now I can start multiplying. 5 times 6, hey, that's 30. So I'm going to write down my 0, carry my 3. Then I'm going to go 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 more. That's going to give me 18. So I write down my 8, and I carry my 1. Then I'm going to go 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 more. Hey, that's 6. Before I start multiplying by the rest, remember, erase any of your carries. Cross out that digit if you want to. And before I multiply by this 2, he's not really 2. He's really 200. So I got to go and put in 2 zeros this time, right? Now I'm ready to start multiplying. I'm going to go 2 times 6, and that's 12. So I write down my 2, and I'm carrying my 1. Then I'm going to go 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 more. Okay, that's 7. And lastly, I'm going to go 2 times 1, that's 2. Here is my answer when I multiplied by 0. Here's my answer when I multiplied by 50. Here's my answer when I multiplied by 200. The last step, just put those 3 answers and add them all together, right? 0 plus 0 plus 0, hey, that's 0. 0 plus 8 plus 2, that's going to give us 10. So I write down my 0 when I carry my 1. I'm just going to carry them up here, not up here where I multiplied. 1 plus 6 plus 7, that's going to give me 14. So I write down my 4, I carry my 1, and 1 plus 2, hey, that's 3. Last step, you have a 5-digit number here, so it is imperative that you put in a comma. 34,000. Okay, little hint here, don't leave any improper fractions on the fraction side of the answer. So if I'm going to start off going 2/5 plus 1/5 plus another 2/5, well, yeah, really that's 5/5. But what did we learn yesterday? 5/5 is really an improper fraction. So 5/5 really equals 1 whole, doesn't it? So I want to go and take this 1 whole up here. I don't want to leave an improper fraction. So now I can go and add 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8. And that's going to go and give me a grand total of 15, right? Don't leave an improper fraction on the fraction side. Get it converted and carry it over to the whole number side. Here we have to go and divide. I am still seeing some people wanting to try to divide 40 into 4. If you have 40 people coming over and only 4 chairs out, does everybody have a place to sit? No, they don't. You got to start into 48. Where you start has to be larger than what you're dividing by. So 40 is going to divide into 48 1 whole time. Multiplies back 440, and it's going to go and subtract 48, won't it? Bring down your extra 0, and we're back at it again. This time 80 divided by 40, and that's going to go in there 2 times. Multiply back 480, and it's going to go and subtract 40, giving you a grand total of 12. Remember this guy, 8 minus 3 3/7. Remember to borrow from the whole number side. Write a fraction equal to 1. with the same denominator as the other fraction. If I'm dealing in sevenths, whatever I bring over to the fraction side better be written in sevenths, right? So I can't start with nothing and take away 3/7. I have to go and borrow. And I'm going to bring one over. How do I write one whole as a fraction? 7/7, because I'm dealing in sevenths down here, right? Now I can subtract 7/7 minus 3/7. Hey, that's going to give us 4/7, right? Over to the whole number side, 7 minus 3, that's going to give us 4. 4 and 4/7. Remember these guys. 25 times 30 times 4. You cannot multiply by 3 numbers at once. You have to multiply 2 numbers together and get an answer. So let's do that to start off with. 25 times 30. And I'm just going to dangle the 0 on this one, right? Bring my 0 straight down into the answer. 3 times 5 is 15. I'm going to write down my 5, carry my 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. So 25 times 30 is 750. Then you take that product, that answer you got when you multiplied these two numbers together, and then multiply it by the fourth number. So I'm going to go 750 times 4 this time, right? 750 and times it by 4. Get ready to multiply. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 5 is 20, so I'm going to write down my 0, and I'm going to carry my 2. And 4 times 7 is 28, plus 2 more, that's 30. So I got a grand total of 3,000. Divide and write the quotient as a mixed number, right? 16/5. Remember, the remainder is the numerator. The divisor, the number you're dividing by, is the denominator. So I'm going to go 5 as the divisor, 16 as the dividend. 5 times what gets me close to 16? That's 3. Multiplies back for 15, and it's going to subtract for 1. My remainder is my numerator. My divisor is the denominator for a grand total of 3 1/5. And that is the end. You want to go slow. You want to go careful. This is a test. It's worth 3 times as much as a daily work assignment. Take the extra 10 minutes and double check your questions and your answers. All right, no Socrative today.